The political tension in Edo State was heightened today after some APC supporters defied the orders of the police and the Edo State government banning rallies, processions and demonstrations in the state. The state government had issued what it calls a complete ban on public rallies across the state earlier today. Some supporters of the party gathered to officially receive Mr. Ize-Iyamu, who just defected to the party from the People's Democratic Party. He was Governor Godwin Obaseki's opponent during the 2016 governorship election in Edo State, which he lost to the incumbent.
Thursday, the 12th of December 2019, hoodlums take to the street, lighting bonfires, obstructing traffic. The Inspector General of Police weighs in, banning all forms of political rallies, whether in public or private premises, an order echoed by the Edo State Commissioner of Police.
We are not unaware of maybe clandestine plans to hold the rally, but whatever they are going to do, will be there. And by the grace of God, I believe that they are law-abiding, they are responsible citizens.
The Edo State government is also not aligned with the rally, as it bans all forms of political rallies in the state, whether in public or private premises, with a threat to revoke the CFO of anyone who flouts the order. Pastor Ize-Iyamu, his supporters and the organizers remain resolute. However, as they go ahead with the rally at the residence of the former PDP governorship candidate in GRA Benin City.
A lot of people in government today rode on his back to get to government, and they have decided to be ungrateful. Pastor Ize-Iyamu, foundation member of this party. So we say, welcome home, brother.
After a brief ceremony which had some APC chieftains in attendance, all roads then lead to the residence of the APC national chairman, Oshiomhole, also in GRA Benin City.
As national chairman, he had too many duties. But because I'm from Edo, because I've worked with him before, because I was his DG, 2012, he told me, I will honor you, I will come. And let me also mention here too that I called the governor, I spoke to him, I requested for audience, which he avoided. I sent him a text, informing him of the date. I also wrote to him and ensured that DHL dropped the date. So I was amazed when the governor said nobody told him about the date. That was not true.
With the governorship election just around the corner, the ruling party, the APC, will be hoping to get its house in order ahead of the polls so as to fend off a robust challenge by opposition parties.
Meanwhile, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Oshiomhole, believes that the success of today's rally in Benin City is as a result of the goodwill that the party enjoys by welcoming defectors from the PDP to the APC fold. Regarding the police order stopping the rally from holding, Mr. Oshiomhole was displeased about the matter and promised to know the reasons for the action, since the party had secured the permission of the police to hold the rally before the ban.
In spite of everything, APC had a successful rally that was peaceful, and it achieved its purpose. As I stand here now, I am taller now than I was just yesterday, because we have harvested to our party people who were part of the foundation of APC, those who participated in the negotiation for the merger. I hear some people are panicking that Pastor is coming because he wants to take a ticket. I have become sick of this suspicion. I am embarrassed as national chairman that the Inspector General of Police will write me a letter informing me on the strength of my application, in which I inform him of our intention to do a rally in Edo to receive people into the party. And this is something that happens every other day in different parts of the country. We inform police not for license. We inform police so that they can justify their salary or maintaining law and order. It is not for them to grant permission. What I am not able to understand is how the same police, the same IG, could be alleged. I use the word alleged because he has not written to me. I haven't cited any letter. We will send a letter to Philip Shaibu, our deputy governor, that the rally will not hold. The party is not run by the government. The party is run by the party. The business of people joining us is the responsibility of the state chapter, who invited me and other members of the NWC to join them to receive pastor. Because I am from here, you can't deny that. And I have also worked with pastor. It's a fact of history, for which I am proud. So how police IG can ask me in the morning, go ahead and do your rally, and then without getting back to me, write to another person to say, no, that rally should not hold, is something I will still need to find out when I get to Abuja.
Now let's turn our attention to the developing story on the prosecution of the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, and the lawyer to Mr. Sowore, Mr. Femi Falana, is not entirely subscribing to the decision of the Attorney General, insisting that the AGF's action is not a takeover, but according to him, the AGF himself was the one that filed the case against Mr. Sowore and farmed it out to Dr. Hassan Liman. Mr. Femi Falana noted that the prosecution had been advised that Mr. Sowore cannot be convicted on the basis of the proof of evidence filed in court. He says the DSS has refused to make the statements of the prosecution witnesses available to the defendants as ordered by the trial court. The senior lawyer says he is convinced that the pending case would collapse like a pack of cards, even though the DSS is currently fishing for evidence to nail Mr. Sowore. He adds that in spite of the directive of the AGF to take over the case, the DSS still subjected Mr. Sowore to a 4-hour interrogation yesterday, where he was accused of having links with the proscribed Boko Haram sect, IPOB and IMN, which he vehemently denied. He concluded by asking the AGF to file a motion that they would no longer prosecute Mr. Sowore. Now, today, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice ordered the Department of State Services to forward Mr. Showore's case file to his office, and that happened earlier. The directive is contained in a statement from Mr. Abubakar Malami and addressed to the Director General of the DSS. The statement explains that the order is part of deliberate efforts to probe emerging issues related to the recent controversy surrounding Mr. Showore's case and for speedy dispensation of justice. The letter, signed by the Solicitor General of the Federation and dated December the 11th, reads in part, "The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, upon a further review of the case, has directed the immediate takeover of the prosecution of all charges in respect of Mr. Omoyele Sowore by the Federal Ministry of Justice, in line with the provisions of Sections 151 and 174(1) of the 1999 Constitution as amended." Mr. Sowore was re-arrested by the DSS less than a day after Justice Ize-Iyamu of the Federal High Court Abuja granted him bail. And staying with legal matters, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, today asked judges to always respect their oath of office by being just and fair in the discharge of their judicial functions. He reminds them that they are accountable to God for their deeds and that they must ensure dispensation of justice with honesty and transparency. The CJN was speaking at the inauguration of Justice John Toho as the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court and Justice Benedict Kanyib as President of the National Industrial Court.
The law is not a respecter of persons. Deal with the situation as they are presented to you. You don't have any personal interest in whatever is placed before you. If you know that you have any personal interest, the moment you realize that, then try to resile. Otherwise, there will be a lot of challenges. I wish you all the best. I wish you God's guidance. If there's any problem, we are not saying that we are beyond the problems ourselves. We can fall into problems. But let us put our heads together. So if there's anything which is beyond your own comprehension, beyond your own capability, please let us put our heads together so that we salvage at the tail end of it the situation.
The president has returned to the nation's capital, Abuja, after attending the two-day Aswan Forum on Peace and Development in Egypt alongside other African leaders. The president was received by some members of his cabinet and the governor of Edo State, who was part of the delegation to Egypt. The president had participated in sessions where the need to chart a course for sustainable peace and development on the continent was discussed. He also met with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on the sidelines of the forum, where they both pledged to collaborate in the eradication of terrorism in Africa. He said since terrorism was a worldwide phenomenon, more collaborative efforts were needed to rein in the menace. While in Egypt, the president also announced that Nigeria will now give all African travelers visas on arrival from January, dropping the requirement that they apply in advance. And this may be some cheery news to Nigerians. The federal government today set a deadline to end the importation of petrol by 2023. The group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mile Kyari, says President Muhammadu Buhari is deeply concerned that Nigeria, as an oil-producing country, is one of the highest importers of petrol in the world. He made the comments at the signing ceremony for the Condensate Refinery Strategy Program, Front-End Engineering Design. The condensate refineries are expected to deliver 20 million litres of petrol when completed, and they will be situated in Edo, Imo and Delta states, while the engineering design for the refineries is expected to be delivered by July 2020.